here in the black jumper.
Your hands up. The hand gets you.
I was undecided for quite a while. I'm now yes, but I do have some concerns still, probably mostly over unemployment. A while ago we heard from from big organisations like Standard Life saying that they were putting contingency plans in place should there be a yes vote. Now, I don't. We talked about the scare stories earlier, and I don't buy many of them. That is one that I haven't bought, but it's still certainly in the back of your mind that how realistic is that, and what would be the sort of counter to it?
Yes, I actually had a correspondence with the man in charge of Standard Life because he entered into the fray. And it's perfectly true that Standard Life, like other Scottish financial institutions, do not have their client base only in Scotland. They draw their money from far, far wider than Scotland. So therefore, the value of the currency they operate in, from their point of view, quite genuinely, is a concern. I wrote to him because he attacked something that Alex Salmond had said. And I wrote to him and said, tell me, if we have a separate Scottish currency that is value one-to-one with sterling, in a sense the way we have at the moment, because we all, if you go into your wallet or your purse, what do you see? You see Scottish notes, which are valued one-to-one with sterling. And I said to him, can you tell me if that would make any difference to the position you have taken? And he told me he did not deal with hypothetical questions, actually having dealt with the first as a hypothetical question. So the key thing is what our currency is like in relation to sterling. And it doesn't matter what A, B, C or D, as Alec calls it, that we do, as long as it's one-to-one with sterling, there is no reason. Also, you've got to take this into account. I live in Edinburgh. Standard Life, all the High-Hegians live in Edinburgh as well. You can leave your work at 5 o'clock and you're home at 5:45. You move to London and you try that. Now, all of us in here must have had the experience of flitting. And just think of the hassle that we've had from house to house. And you think of the hassle that Standard Life would have of going into very expensive London and saying to their high executives, leave that nice place in the centre of Edinburgh and pay something like £1 million for something that's not half as good. There's a lot of bluff going on. And what we need to remember is that we are the confident people. They're trying to destroy your confidence. And if you look at it, just analyse it the way I've done, you realise that they're at it.
Can I just add that I was through in Edinburgh at a Business for Scotland meeting last Wednesday, and if you walk through St Andrew's Square, you'll see a heck of a big building that says Standard Life, investing in Scotland for the future. No idea how many million it's costing them to build, but they didn't look like they were going anywhere very quick. And if you look back to some of the quotes from 97, not 79, the Daily Express, where everything was going to be wonderful if we voted no and everything was going to be hopeless if we voted for an assembly, but 97, Standard Life were one of the lead companies at that time saying, oh, it'll be terrible, we'll probably move, and actually they're still here. So they need to put these things in the reports because in their terms it's a risk. Any change is a risk. And therefore what all of these companies, RBS and all of the rest of them, have flagged up it as a risk. The number one risk that they have quoted is the general election. The number two risk that businesses have quoted is the European referendum in 2017, because that scares the living daylights out of them. And apparently in these big companies, Scottish independence is the 6th most worrying risk. So a general election next May is a bigger risk in their reports than us. So I think a lot of this is just being spun.
I'll take the woman in the white at the back there, and then follow with the gentleman in the purple.
Just keep your hands up for Pam, or he is not good.
I'm with my sister. We have a very specific question. I'm a teacher, she is an ANP, and our question's about how safe our superannuated pensions are, how that will work.
Can I just say, as a member of the same pension setup as yourself, all Scottish public service pensions are in Scotland. Okay? They've been in Scotland since devolution. So your money, if you look your SPPA, when you get it in, it says you've worked for 30 years and you've saved 10 years worth of pension. It comes from Edinburgh and it's already in.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, can I explain about the state pension? A lot of older people have been told that that's in jeopardy. Now, I am a state pensioner. I also have 13/60th of a pension from Westminster when I was an MP. That's the same as a company pension. The Minister for Pensions, a guy called Webb, has been very honest. He's actually on the record, in public, explaining to me and folk like me that we will get our state pension paid whether or not Scotland is independent. Now, for example, if I decide to move to Germany tomorrow, I am still entitled to get my state pension. It is not based on where I live. It's based upon the contractual legality of me having paid national insurance contributions. On my parliamentary pension, when we are independent, I'll still get it. I mean, I know MPs, rather than the rich ones who've retired and gone to live in America or gone to live in France. They are as much entitled to the parliamentary pension as I am staying in the British Isles. So all the scaremongering you've heard about pensions isn't true. And if you are in a company pension, which is partly mixed up with folk south of the border, you're still safe, because legally they have to pay you what you are entitled to. And if they try not to, you go to the courts and you win, because that is the law. And whatever criticisms I might have of the governments in London, I don't have any criticisms of the legal profession and the law courts. They will apply the law. But everybody down there who's trying to frighten folk about pensions knows what they're saying is untrue.
Hi Jim, can you hear me? Aye.
Yes.
Right, I'm John Mackenzie. I'm a Labour Party member. I'm
Can you
undecided.
hold the mic to your mouth, because not other people won't
Sorry,
hear
beg
you.
your pardon. Is that better, aye?
Right.
Can you hear me? Aye. Right, I'm a Labour Party member. How's that? Right, I'm a Labour Party member. I'm undecided. I've been undecided for a long time. I'll tell you why I'm undecided, because I know campaign did not get the offer of DIVA Plus. I'd have gone for that.
What he's saying is that they didn't give the Devo Max off.
DIVA Max. So I'm swinging towards the yes, because this crap about the bloody Plan A, Plan B, the Scottish Parliament, all they have to do is say, see Plan A, make sure Plan B, or Plan B, make Plan A work, because they're negative. I'm going yes now. I was going no. I'm going yes, because they're so
Not being the economist on the table, I'm just going to make a comment about that. Those of you who are my age or older will remember we've already lived through a currency change, decimalisation, and the sky didn't fall. Okay? I grew up in Ireland, where in the south they had, obviously they kept the pound with sterlingisation for like 50 years. In the north, a lot of shops used to take the punt, which is the Irish pound, and sterling interchangeably. When Ireland was on its way to the euro, they took the punt, the pound, and the euro interchangeably. It just doesn't matter. It's whatever form of coloured pebble you decide is representing a certain value. My husband's German, and when East Germany obviously broke through the wall in 89 and was then unified in 1990. The people of East Germany had to change from the Eastmark to the Deutschmark. Within a few years later, they then had to change again from the Deutschmark to the euro. Well, they're not really doing too badly now, are they? So all of this about currency is, everything is about, can you keep the pound? The pound, as has been said, anyone can use. When I worked in Gaza and Lebanon, we used the dollar. So we used shekels in Palestine, but we used the dollar as the backup currency. We can use the pound. And eventually we can decide what direction to go after that. So this idea that the whole yes or no for independence is about what shape the money is or whose face is on the paper is really trivial. It's something that you just decide, that's how we're doing it. It does not have huge effects. It just has to be, as Jim and Ivan have said, we peg ourselves to down south so that we make the trade easy. And if they cut their nose off to spite their face, that isn't good for us. We don't want England to crash. We all have family down there because sadly our young people have been hemorrhaging down south for generations. So all of us have family down south and we trade with down south. So what we want is something that allows a smooth transition. But that's all it's about, is a smooth transition to make it easier for businesses and people moving around. The idea that our entire future hinges on the face on a piece of paper or a coin is really misleading.